Chapter 8. Zach doused a bandana with water and cleaned his face.
Denton. It's a college town in North Texas.
He pulled up his pant leg, exposing a deep scrape along his shin. It surprised him that it wasn't deeper. It sure felt a lot worse when he scraped it across the coupling last night. What a shit show. He barely placed his feet on the frame when the rock hit Finn in the head. From there, it was pure instinct. Zach didn't even stop to consider the logistics of leaping across the coupling the way he did. His only concern at the time was making sure Finn did not die. It was a good thing Cash had his back. Finn was always getting into something, and Zach was always there to help drag him out. He didn't mind. He would do anything for his friends. Family was everything. Finn was just the stupid brother who hadn't figured out he wasn't invincible yet. Besides, if Zach wasn't able to help, it would have all fallen on Teague's shoulders. He couldn't do that to him. He glanced over at Teague, who was busy changing his blood-soaked shirt. A large, purple bruise covered his shoulder. That's gotta hurt, thought Zach. When Teague asked him to help pull his shoulder back into place, Zach was worried he would mess it up somehow, that he would pull too hard and make the injury worse. Teague didn't have any concerns. He seemed to be sure that Zach could handle it. That was the story of his life. Everyone around him believing he was capable and steady, when deep inside he was just as scared as the rest of them. Zach wiped away the crusted blood and dirt from the scrape on his leg. Once finished, he poured a little moonshine over it to kill any germs. He was good to go now, ready for whatever the day offered. Finn rummaged through his backpack.
So, we're not even in Dallas?
Nope, replied Zach.
That sucks. When's the next ride out?
Having found a semi-clean shirt, Finn pulled it over his head.
Teague interjected. Not until tomorrow, at the earliest. Neither of us is up for another hop today. I need a good night's sleep. He pointed to Finn. You do too.
Teague's right, Rivers stated. She was wiping her face and arms with a damp cloth. We already agreed we were not leaving for a day or two. Took a vote. You have no choice. We're gonna stay here, and you're gonna rest. She pulled out a strip of fabric and used it to tie back her long dreads. Cash was busy brushing his teeth. He pulled the toothbrush out of his mouth and spat toothpaste on the ground.
We already told the others. They're okay with the delay, since none of them are even close right now.
Finn nodded.
Seems like y'all have figured it out. What's next? We're gonna head into town. The square's that way.
Zach pointed.
We'll find something to eat, then figure out where we're gonna spend the night. Have we been through here before?
Teague shook his head.
We haven't. Cash and River have, though.
Only once, a long time ago, replied River. It was a nightmare, and only for a few hours, so I don't remember much.
I've been here a couple times. The square's cool. Lots of musicians and artists around. We should have no problem shoring up our cash reserves while here.
Finn put on his sunglasses.
Okay, then, let's check out this town.
After stashing their packs among the shrubs, they left the cover of the brush and walked out onto the street. A small neighborhood of neat, single-story houses on their left, a large, warehouse-style complex with a group of tall grain silos to their right. In the distance, high above the other buildings, the clock tower of the old courthouse stood tall. Turning right, they headed in that direction. Standing at the corner, waiting for the light to change, River slapped Zach on the arm. Across the street stood a small shop with the word "Scrap" hand-painted on the concrete block wall.
Yeah, I see it, he said.
Can we stop?
I want to stop.
She asked aloud.
We'll see.
She giggled, hooked her arm around Zach's, and waited for the light to change. It was unusual for River to get excited over a shop. When she did, it was noteworthy. Looking over at the store, the signs in the windows, Zach could see why. The shop looked like a treasure trove of miscellaneous items. He wondered if he could find an old lamp cord in there. Their wires made the best snares. Stepping onto the curb, Cash came up from behind and grabbed River around the waist, pulling her away from Zach and the shop entrance. He lifted her over his shoulder and carried her down the sidewalk. No, shouted River, her long legs kicked in the air. Damn it, Cash, put me down! Seriously! Zach! Teague? Somebody? Anybody? She nodded her head toward the others who were walking behind them, laughing, then flipped them off with both of her hands. As they rounded the corner, Cash put her down. She straightened her clothes and struck at him playfully. He drew back to avoid her blows.
We'll stop later,
Teague said, walking past her with Finn.
That way you ain't carrying trash around with you all day. Or at least, we're not.
Zach stopped next to her.
Let's go, woman,
he said, shaking his head as he nudged her.
Stop messing around.
River slapped his arm. A lot of help you were. Zach chuckled. Cash seemed to have it all under control. She slapped him again. They walked past a building with rusted, old decor outside. Once a turn-of-the-century house, it was now a draft house. As River pulled out her phone to take a picture, Zach jumped into the rusty tub on the front lawn and pretended to bathe. Finn, Teague, come here. Let's get a photo, she said, positioning herself in front of a large green-lettered stand. What the hell does this say? Asked Finn.
Lil D, replied Cash. Looks like you're supposed to stand between the big L and the little L. Like you're the I in Little D. Little D? You seriously don't know Denton's nickname is Little D?
Finn shook his head.
Dallas is Big D. Denton is Little D.
Cash shrugged.
I guess they had to come up with something to be different. How did you grow up in Texas and not know that?
He's not from North Texas, replied Zach.
This area is a whole other place compared to the rest of the state.
Aren't you from North Texas, though? Asked Cash.
Nah, man, Zach shook his head. East Texas. That's another completely different place.
This state's too damn big, said Cash, shaking his head. Thinking about his hometown brought back a flood of memories for Zach. Giant trees, open pasture, and rolling hills. The smell of fresh-cut fields. The way the cows called out when it was time for their cubes. He wondered if the old family home looked the same. Had the rickety old barn fallen down, or was it still hanging there? He remembered his dad, with his big laugh and his big heart. There was no greater compliment for young Zach than to hear people say how much he was like his father.
He sounds like my dream old man.
Craig's voice, with his distinct Boston accent, cut through his memories.
When I was a kid, I'd imagine my dad walking through the front door.
Craig took a hit from the joint they were sharing.
He'd have this amazing reason for leaving. He chuckled. You know, like he was a spy or some shit.
Zach leaned back on his hands. His feet dangled over the calm water of the lake as they sat on the pier. The night sky was dark and full of stars.
That never happened, though.
Craig took another hit and handed it to Zach.
My dad was a spineless piece of trash who left his pregnant girlfriend. He never came back. Probably doesn't even know he had a son. Wherever he is, I hope he's miserable.
Craig lay down on the uneven boards of the pier and stared up at the sky.
I'll be honest, man. I think I'd rather have no dad at all than an amazing one like yours that died suddenly. That's way less painful.
Way less painful, thought Zach, as he swirled his feet in the cool water. He supposed Craig had a point. Nothing was probably better than having something great and losing it. Come on, Zach, River called out. Stop your daydreaming. Let's go. He shook his head to clear his mind. Enough thinking about the past. The present was all that mattered. Leaving the little bar behind, he caught up with River and Cash.